The scene opens atop a towering vantage point overlooking the sprawling city below. If I can locate the city's main power source, I can plunge it into darkness forever, Mr. Dugan cackles, his voice dripping with malevolence. Now, I just need to determine where that main power line is hidden. Dugan scans the cityscape, his eyes narrowing with focus. The city flickers with lights, a stark contrast to the dark intentions brewing within him. He pulls out a small device, a high-tech scanner, and begins to sweep it across the horizon. "Come on, show me where you hide," he mutters under his breath, his excitement palpable. The device beeps intermittently, flashing a series of lights that dance in rhythm with his increasing heartbeat. He adjusts the dial, fine-tuning the frequency. "There has to be a weak point," he insists, his voice rising with fervor. As he shifts his position, a persistent beep grows louder. Dugan's lips curl into a sinister smile. "There you are," he whispers, pointing the scanner towards an industrial district at the edge of the city. He leans closer, studying the map on the device. This must be it, the main power hub. "Time to pay a visit," he declares, a gleam of determination in his eyes. With a swift motion, he tucks the scanner away, turns, and descends from his perch, ready to set his plan in motion. The city below remains blissfully unaware of the chaos that is about to unfold. Dugan makes his way through the shadows of the industrial district, the night air thick with the scent of oil and rust. The towering warehouses loom like silent sentinels, their windows dark and lifeless. He approaches the main power hub, a fortress of steel and concrete illuminated only by flickering security lights. "Time to make some noise," he murmurs with a hint of excitement. He crouches low as he nears the entrance, eyeing the security cameras that sweep the area. He pulls out a small device from his belt, a jammer. With a flick of a switch, the cameras go dark, their lenses rendered useless. "Easy as pie," he chuckles, his confidence swelling. Dugan approaches the heavy steel door, reinforced and locked tight. He kneels in front of it, producing a set of lock-picking tools. With deft fingers, he works the lock, his brow furrowed in concentration. The door creaks open just enough for him to slip inside. The interior is dimly lit, filled with the hum of machinery and the distant thrum of generators. Dugan steps inside, closing the door behind him with a soft thud. His eyes dart around, taking in the maze of cables and control panels. "Now where are you hiding?" he whispers, moving deeper into the heart of the building. He approaches a large control panel, its blinking lights taunting him. He quickly scans the buttons and screens, searching for the main power line controls. "Just a little more. There!" he exclaims, spotting the main circuit breaker labeled City Power Grid. With a wicked grin, he cracks his knuckles and prepares to unleash chaos. "Let's bring this city to its knees," he declares, fingers hovering over the controls, ready to execute his plan. Mr. Dugan's grin widens as he pulls a long black machete from his coat pocket, its blade gleaming ominously in the dim light. He admires the weapon for a moment before turning his attention back to the tangled mess of wires before him. "Time to sever the city's lifeline," he says, his voice dripping with anticipation. He kneels down, leaning close to the thick bundle of power cables that snake out from the control panel. With precision, he places the machete against the first wire, hesitating for just a moment to relish the moment. "Goodbye, power," he taunts, and in one swift motion, he brings the blade down, slicing through the wire with a satisfying crunch. Sparks fly, illuminating the dark room. He quickly moves to the next wire, repeating the action, each cut sending a thrill of excitement coursing through him. "This is too easy," he chuckles darkly, adrenaline pumping. With each severed line, the humming of the machinery begins to falter, lights flickering ominously. Dugan can almost hear the city's heartbeat slowing, and he revels in the thought of chaos that will soon reign. "Just a little more," he murmurs, cutting through the final wire, the last connection to the grid. As the final spark fizzles out, a low rumble shakes the building. Dugan stands up, wiping the blade on his coat, a triumphant grin stretching across his face. "Let the darkness fall," he declares, stepping back to admire his handiwork. He turns to leave, the shadows swallowing him as he exits the power hub, leaving the city in the grip of impending doom. As Mr. Dugan steps into the alleyway, the cool night air rushes over him, invigorating his twisted ambition. He pauses, letting out a maniacal laugh that echoes off the walls, the darkness around him a perfect match for his sinister thoughts. Now that the power is out in Washington, he muses aloud, his voice dripping with excitement, The government will be in disarray. Security systems down, communication cut off, perfect chaos. He begins to pace, his mind racing with possibilities. I'll slip right into the heart of the nation, unnoticed. The White House will think it's just another blackout, but I'll be the storm that rages through their doors. A gleam of madness shines in his eyes as he envisions his next moves. Once I'm inside, I'll unleash my true plan. With the world plunged into chaos, I'll declare a new order. An order where laws no longer exist. A permanent purge where murder and crime are free to roam without consequence. He clenches his fist, exhilarated by the thought. No more hiding in the shadows, no more living in fear of the law. I'll make the world my playground, and those who oppose me will be nothing but dust in the wind. Dugan stops, breathing heavily, the thrill of his vision electrifying him. Imagine it, a world where I can break any law without being hunted down, where power lies in chaos, and I am the master of it all. His laughter fills the night, a chilling sound that carries on the wind as he strides forward, each step fueled by his grand aspirations. It's time to turn this dream into reality. The world will bow before me, and I will take my rightful place as its ruler. With purpose in his stride, he disappears into the night, ready to enact his dark vision and reshape the world in his twisted image.
Hey, let me find something interesting.
Rence's blue van. The atmosphere is light and carefree as the group of friends, Colton, Zach, Chris, and Mr. Rence, cruise down the highway, music blasting from the speakers. Laughter fills the air as they share stories and jokes, the open road stretching out before them. He twists the dial until he finds a news station and they all settle in, intrigued. Suddenly the upbeat music fades and a serious voice interrupts. We interrupt this program for a breaking news alert. Power has been lost in Washington, D.C. Reports indicate that the main power lines have been cut by a mysterious individual, plunging the city into darkness. The friends exchange glances, their carefree mood shifting to one of concern.
Did they say who did it?
No, just that it's a mystery at this point.
That's pretty wild. What could possibly be going on? It's miles away from us. It's not like we're in D.C. or anything.
I don't know, but it sounds serious. What if it's a terrorist attack or something? We should keep listening.
Mr. Rence nods, adjusting the volume as the news anchor continues.
That's crazy. We're just out here trying to enjoy our weekend and something like this happens.
Yeah, but it makes you think, what if it escalates? I mean, a power outage in the capital, it could mean anything.
Let's not jump to conclusions. We're here to have fun, remember? Let's enjoy the ride and see what else the news has to say.
But as they continue down the highway, the weight of the mysterious event lingers in the air, a dark cloud hovering over their carefree adventure. The road ahead remains uncertain, and the friends can't shake the feeling that something big is about to unfold. Authorities have confirmed that the only clue found at the scene of the power outage is a red shirt, believed to belong to the individual responsible for cutting the power lines. Investigators are working around the clock to identify the suspect.
You guys remember who used to wear those shirts all the time?
Dugan,
Chris breathes, his expression shifting from shock to dread.
that deranged serial killer. He used to work at our school, for crying out loud.
Colton's heart races as memories flood back. His own terrifying encounter with Mr. Dugan when he was kidnapped.
He tried to force me to make red shirts out of blood. I thought we were done with him.
This can't be a coincidence. If Dugan is back, we're in serious trouble. He's unpredictable and dangerous.
Okay, everyone, just calm down. We don't know for sure it's him. It could be someone else wearing a red shirt.
But what if it is? What if he's using this blackout as a cover for something bigger?
The atmosphere in the van shifts, laughter replaced by tension as the weight of the situation sinks in. They can't shake the feeling that Mr. Dugan is somehow involved in the chaos unfolding miles away.
Let's keep listening to the news. Maybe they'll have more information that can help us figure this out.
As they tune back in, the friends remain on edge, the road ahead now fraught with uncertainty and fear of what might come next. Each bump in the road feels like a reminder of the lurking danger, and they can't help but wonder if they're about to be caught in a nightmare once again. The scene shifts to a dimly lit laboratory buzzing with activity. Investigators, clad in dark suits and carrying briefcases, burst through the heavy doors, urgency etched on their faces. The room is filled with the faint hum of machinery and the sharp smell of antiseptic. Scientists in lab coats pause their work, glancing up with curiosity and concern.
Where's the shirt?
One of the lead investigators, Detective Harris, demands as he strides toward a central workstation. A lab technician, visibly anxious, points to a clear evidence bag resting on a table. Inside, a red shirt lies crumpled, its fabric stained and torn. The detective approaches, carefully lifting the bag for a closer inspection.
We need this analyzed immediately. The power outage in D.C. is our top priority, and this shirt could be connected to the suspect.
Another investigator, Agent Thompson, joins him, peering over the shirt.
Do we have any leads on who it might belong to?
Harris replies, glancing around the lab.
Not yet, but we have a few theories. Get the DNA test started and run a fabric analysis. We need to know if this shirt has any traces of blood or fibers that could link it to a crime scene.
The lab springs into action, the urgency palpable as they work to uncover the truth behind the mysterious red shirt.
Let's begin the autopsy of this shirt, she commands, her voice steady but laced with tension. We need to determine if there are any biological materials that could help identify the wearer.
With careful precision, she slices open the bag and unfolds the red shirt, revealing its worn fabric. As they inspect it closely, a faint metallic scent wafts through the air. The scientists begin their examination, using the tools to probe deeper into the fibers.
What do you think we'll find?
One of the junior scientists, Emily, asks, her hand shaking slightly as she holds a microscope in place. Dr. Jensen doesn't look up.
We need to be thorough. Any trace of blood could indicate a crime. If it's Dugan, we need to know who his victims are.
As they continue their analysis, Emily suddenly gasps, pointing to a small dark spot on the sleeve.
There's something here.
She exclaims, using a pair of tweezers to pull a thread away from the fabric. The team huddles closer, examining the area under a microscope. A growing sense of dread fills the room as they confirm their suspicions.
It's blood and it looks fresh. Collect samples immediately. We need to confirm the blood type and see if it matches any known victims.
As they gather the samples, they continue to find more traces of blood scattered throughout the shirt, on the collar, the cuffs, and even along the hem. Each discovery heightens the sense of urgency in the lab. As the team continues their meticulous examination of the red shirt, the atmosphere grows increasingly tense. Dr. Jensen's team works swiftly, collecting blood samples and running tests. They analyze the fabric, and as they delve deeper, they begin to uncover the horrifying truth. After several tense moments, Emily gasps again, her face pale.
The fabric isn't just stained with blood, it's actually made from a white cloth. The red you see is purely blood, and it's everywhere, on every inch of this shirt.
Dr. Jensen's expression turns grave.
What do you mean, every inch? There's no dye, no fabric color whatsoever. It's all blood. This is something else entirely. Could it be from different sources? Yes. The tests show varying blood types. It's like he's been collecting blood from multiple victims.
A heavy silence falls over the lab as the implications sink in. Dr. Jensen straightens, her mind racing.
It's definitely him. Mr. Dugan is the only person in the world known for such grotesque acts. He kills, collects blood, and then paints it onto a white cloth with a paintbrush, turning it into a red shirt. This is his calling card. Why would he do this? What's the point? It's a twisted form of art for him. To him, it's not just murder. It's a statement, a way to immortalize his victims. He sees himself as an artist, and this shirt is his canvas.
Detective Harris, who had been standing silently in the background, steps forward, his expression grim.
We need to alert the authorities immediately. If Dugan is active again, we cannot waste any time. We have to stop him before he can take another life.
The team springs into action, gathering their findings and preparing to relay the information to law enforcement. The reality of their discovery weighs heavily on them. They are on the precipice of a dangerous confrontation with a maniacal killer. As they compile their evidence, the lab buzzes with an urgency that feels almost palpable. Each tick of the clock echoes in their ears. Time is not on their side, and they know that Dugan could strike again at any moment. The red shirt, a chilling reminder of his brutality, now serves as both a warning and a call to action. Back in the van, Colton, Zach, Chris, and Mr. Rence sit in an uneasy silence, the weight of the news hanging heavily in the air. Colton glances at his friends, their faces pale and drawn, and he can't shake the feeling of dread that has settled over them like a thick fog.
Hey, how about we lighten the mood a little? Let's stop at McDonald's for some burgers and fries, just like we always do on our adventures.
You really think that'll help?
Why not? Sometimes you just need a bit of comfort food to take your mind off things. Plus, it's been a while since we've had the McFlurry challenge.
I'm in. I could use some fries right about now.
Me too. But what if Dugan shows up? What if he's at the same McDonald's?
We can't live in fear, guys. Let's just grab something to eat, regroup, and talk about what to do next. We're stronger together and we can figure this out.
All right, let's do it. I could use a distraction.
Rence turns the van toward the nearest McDonald's. The atmosphere begins to shift. The familiar scent of fries and burgers wafts through the air as they approach the golden arches, and the tension starts to ease, if only slightly. Once they park, they pile out of the van, their spirits lifted by the thought of their favorite fast food. They joke and laugh as they make their way inside, the chatter of other customers providing a comforting backdrop to their evening. As they order their meals, Colton can't help but glance around the restaurant, half expecting to see a familiar face lurking in the shadows. But for now, the bustling environment feels safe, a temporary sanctuary from the chaos outside. Once they settle into a booth with their food, Colton takes a deep breath, letting the moment of normalcy wash over him.
Okay, so what's the first challenge?
Who can finish a Big Mac the fastest?
Or how about we see who can make the best McFlurry flavor combination?
Laughter fills the booth, the sound a welcome reprieve from the fear they had just felt. As they dive into their meals and engage in playful banter, the weight of the world outside seems to fade, if only for a moment. But deep down, they all know that the shadows of danger still loom, waiting, watching, and ready to strike when they least expect it. The group settles into their booth, the laughter and chatter creating a cocoon of comfort amidst the chaos they had been feeling earlier. Colton leans back, taking a moment to savor his fries.
Remember that time we tried to eat those giant burgers in one sitting?
Oh man, I thought I was going to explode.
Zach laughs, shaking his head.
I still can't believe you actually finished yours, Chris. You're a legend.
What can I say? I'm a professional eater.
Their banter continues, with each story drawing them further away from the grim reality outside. They talk about school, their plans for the summer, and even their favorite video games, trying to maintain a facade of normalcy. But as they indulge in their food and laughter, each of them is acutely aware of the undercurrents of fear and uncertainty lingering in the back of their minds. Suddenly, a loud alert interrupts their conversation. Each of their phones buzzes simultaneously, the sound jarring against the casual atmosphere they had created.
Guys, you need to see this.
Colton grabs his phone, his heart sinking as he reads the emergency news alert. The others quickly pull out their phones, their faces shifting from amusement to alarm as they read the headline.
Is this for real? This can't be happening.
It's like something out of a horror movie. How could he be so brazen?
We need to get out of here. If Dugan is active, we can't afford to be caught off guard.
What do we do? Should we call the police?
Yes, we need to alert them, and we should stay together. There's safety in numbers.
The group quickly finishes their meals, the laughter and lightness of earlier now replaced by the weight of reality pressing down on them. As they exit the McDonald's, each of them glances nervously around, the world outside suddenly feeling more threatening and uncertain than ever before. They are acutely aware that the danger is not just a story on the news, it's real, and it's closer than they ever imagined. The group piles back into the van, a sense of urgency hanging in the air. Mr. Rence takes the wheel, his excitement palpable as he revs the engine.
Let's get to Mr. Callaway's house. He'll know what to do.
Maybe drive a little carefully this time?
Where's the fun in that?
The van swerves around corners, the others clutching their seats as they hold on for dear life.
Just keep your eyes on the road.
As they approach Mr. Callaway's house, Mr. Rence neglects to slow down.
I've got this.
With a loud crash, the van plows through the front wall, coming to a halt right in Mr. Callaway's living room, furniture toppling over and dust clouding the air. The group sits in stunned silence, the van's engine sputtering and the radio still blaring.
Mr. Rence, what the heck?
Oops, my bad.
Just then, Mr. Callaway appears from the kitchen, eyes wide with shock.
What in the world happened?
We need your help. Dugan's back and he's left a shirt made of blood at the crime scene.
Are you serious? How do you know this?
Zach quickly fills him in, recounting the emergency alert they received.
He cut the power lines in Washington and left the shirt behind. We think he's going to strike again, and we need a plan to catch him.
This is serious. We need to act fast. Do you have any idea where he might strike next?
Maybe a public place. Somewhere he thinks he can blend in, like a park or an abandoned building.
Exactly, we could set a trap.
Mr. Callaway nods, pacing the room thoughtfully despite the chaos around them.
We can create a fake art exhibit showcasing blood art to draw him in. He sees himself as an artist, so it might pique his interest.
Once we have him, we can call the police.
And I can spread rumors online about the exhibit. Make it seem like there's a chance for Dugan to showcase his work.
With that, Mr. Callaway retrieves a large whiteboard from the back of the living room, shaking his head with a mix of disbelief and determination.
All right, let's finalize our plan and get to work. We're going to catch Dugan this time, and I'll make sure to keep an eye on this reckless driver.
The group nods in agreement, the chaos fading into the background as they shift their focus to the task at hand. United in purpose, they begin to outline their strategy, ready to confront the darkness waiting for them outside. The grand halls of the White House are eerily quiet, illuminated only by the moonlight streaming through the tall windows. In the shadows, Mr. Dugan stands, a sinister grin spreading across his face as he surveys the security presence.
The power's already out. Perfect. Just what I need to slip in unnoticed.
He glances around, taking stock of the guards stationed at the entrances, their attention diverted by the situation outside. His eyes gleam with a devious idea.
I just need to cut the power inside to create the chaos I need.
With a swift motion, he pulls out a small device from his jacket pocket, a gadget designed to disrupt power sources. He scans the area, looking for another way to achieve his goal.
There must be a backup generator around here somewhere.
He quietly moves to the side of the building, his heart racing with anticipation. Outside, he spots a large outdoor generator, humming quietly but ready to be tampered with.
There we go. Just a little adjustment, and the lights will go out inside.
He approaches the generator, crouching down to inspect the wiring. He pulls out his toolkit and begins to work, deftly cutting wires and rerouting power.
A quick modification, and it'll be lights out for the whole building.
As he works, he keeps glancing over his shoulder to ensure no one has noticed him. Once he finishes, he stands back, admiring his handiwork.
Now, when the lights go out, I'll slip in through the service door. They'll be too busy scrambling in the dark to notice me.
With a sense of satisfaction, he readies himself, the thrill of the impending chaos coursing through him. He pulls out a map of the White House from his bag, highlighting the quickest route to the Oval Office.
And once I'm inside, it's time to make my statement.
As he tucks the map back into his pocket, he feels a surge of confidence.
They think they can stop me? They have no idea who they're dealing with.
With that, Dugan slips into the shadows, his heart pounding with anticipation, ready to execute his plan. INT White House, conference room, night. So, if we can finalize the education reform by next week, we'll have a solid chance to push it through before the break.
Absolutely. And we should also consider how to frame it in the press. If we can get a good narrative going, it might build some momentum.
I agree. We need to highlight the benefits for underserved communities. That's where we'll gain the most support.
What just happened? Did we lose power?
I don't think it's just us. The whole building seems to be dark.
Let's not panic. I'll check the status of the generator. It might just be a temporary outage.
This is strange. I've never seen a power outage like this in the White House.
Could it be a maintenance issue? They've been working on the electrical systems lately.
But they would have notified us if there were any scheduled outages. Something feels off about this.
We're checking the perimeter. There's no sign of any issues outside, but we're trying to get in touch with the facilities team.
No signs of trouble? It doesn't make sense.
Let's stay calm. Maybe it's just a temporary glitch.
Or something more. We need to be prepared for anything.
All right, everyone stay put. I want updates on the situation, and let's keep the lines of communication open.
Has anyone heard about the power outage in the city? It's not just here. Washington, D.C. is completely in the dark.
What do you mean the entire city? That's not normal.
I'm serious. If the White House is out of power too, it means something is terribly wrong. The White House has backup systems that are designed to keep us running no matter what.
What are you saying? I just got a report from the police. They've been tracking a serial killer, Mr. Dugan. He's been linked to several disappearances in the area. They believe he's somehow behind this.
Dugan, but how could he...
They think he's cut the power to the entire city as part of a larger plan. If he can take out the power, he can move undetected. We need to inform the president immediately.
Okay, let's not jump to conclusions here. We need to verify this information.
I understand that, but if Dugan is on the move, we don't have time to waste. This is a calculated move on his part, and if he's inside the White House, we're sitting ducks.
Then we need to activate emergency protocols. We can't let panic take over, but we must be ready for anything.
We need to establish a secure line to the president. If he's after the highest office, we can't let him succeed.
Everyone nods, the realization of the gravity of the situation sinking in. The aide quickly moves towards the door, but Wilson stops him.
Wait. We need to ensure the safety of the entire building first. Let's lock the doors and restrict access until we know exactly what we're dealing with.
And what if he's already inside?
The tension in the room spikes as the implications settle in. They are not just dealing with a power outage anymore. They are potentially facing a determined killer in their midst.
I'll head to the communications room and get in touch with the Secret Service. We have to act fast.
As the aide rushes out, the remaining staff members huddle closer, the flickering light from their phones casting ominous shadows on their faces. Let's stay alert and keep our heads. We're not going down without a fight. Fade out.
Chuckling to himself, look at them scramble! Pathetic little ants, all in a panic because their precious power is out. They have no idea what's coming.
Hidden in the shadows just outside the White House, Mr. Dugan watches with a gleeful smirk as the chaos unfolds inside. The flickering lights and frantic movements of the staff create a sense of satisfaction within him. He takes a moment to admire the fear he has instilled.
Talking to himself. This is just the beginning. They think they're safe behind those walls, but I'll show them what true fear feels like. The Oval Office is my next target.
He leans against a nearby tree, the cold night air invigorating him as he observes the guards pacing nervously and the frantic staff inside. His eyes gleam with ambition as he scans the perimeter, looking for a vantage point to slip into the building undetected.
Muttering, there has to be a way in.
He spots a maintenance ladder leading up to the roof, partially obscured by foliage. The gears in his mind begin to turn.
Grinning. That's it! The roof! If I can get up there, I can find a way down into the office.
He stealthily makes his way to the ladder, checking to ensure no one is watching. With nimble movements, he climbs up, his heart racing with excitement. Reaching the top, Dugan crouches low, carefully navigating the rooftop, listening for any signs of movement below. The sound of muffled voices and footsteps drifts up to him, fueling his adrenaline.
Whispering to himself, just a little further. Soon I'll be in the heart of it all.
He spots a ventilation shaft nearby, a perfect entry point into the building.
Smirking, all those security measures, and yet they forget about the vents.
With a quick assessment, he pries open the grating, slipping inside with the grace of a predator. Crawling through the narrow passage, he can hear the muffled conversations of the staff below, the tension palpable. The thrill of the hunt surges through him as he inches his way toward the Oval Office.
Muttering gleefully, I'm coming for you, Mr. President. You'll never see it coming.
As he moves deeper into the building, he can already envision the chaos that will ensue once he reaches his target. The power may be out, but his plan is just getting started. As Mr. Dugan crawls through the dimly lit ventilation shaft, he can hear muffled conversations happening below. The sounds of panic and urgency provide a twisted sense of satisfaction for him as he inches closer to the Oval Office.
Frustrated. We need to secure the building. I want patrols increased around all entrances. Nobody gets in or out until we know there's no threat.
Anxiously. What if it's already too late? We can't just sit here waiting for something to happen. We need to inform the president.
Dugan pauses, pressing his ear against the vent to catch every word.
Nervously. We can't panic. If Dugan is really behind this, we need to stay calm and think strategically. We can't let fear cloud our judgment.
Raising his voice. Calm? You think we can stay calm while there's a killer on the loose? We don't even know where he is.
Dugan grins, relishing the chaos he's caused.
Whispering to himself, right on cue, just keep talking, my little pawns.
He continues to move through the vents, now hearing the sound of footsteps approaching.
Urgent. I just got word from the perimeter. No signs of forced entry, but we can't rule out anything. We need eyes everywhere.
Worriedly. What about the cameras? Can we get them back online?
Sighing. They're down with the power. We're completely blind right now.
Dugan's eyes narrow with excitement, sensing that they are more vulnerable than ever.
To himself, perfect. They're in the dark and I'm right above them.
He continues to crawl towards the Oval Office, the muffled chaos below fueling his adrenaline as he gets closer to the culmination of his plan.
Decisively. We need to implement lockdown procedures. If Dugan is really here, we can't afford any mistakes.
Dugan can't help but chuckle, the thrill of the hunt intensifying as he creeps toward his target.
Smirking. Oh, mistakes are exactly what I'm counting on.
In Mr. Callaway's living room, night. Colton, Zach, Chris, Mr. Rence, and Mr. Callaway sit together in the cozy living room, surrounded by sketches and art supplies scattered across the coffee table. They're brainstorming ideas for a unique art show they've whimsically titled Blood and Grit, hoping to attract the attention of Mr. Dugan, who they believe is nearby.
So, what if we use actual fake blood? I mean, it's edgy, and it'll definitely get people talking. Yeah, like splatters on the canvas. It'll symbolize the struggle we're all going through, and we could have a live performance. Maybe someone acting out a scene of survival or something. It has to be visceral. I like the idea, but we need to make sure it doesn't come off as a mockery. We want to raise awareness, not just shock people. What if we also include a donation aspect? Every piece of art sold could contribute to helping those who've been affected by the recent tragedies.
Just as the conversation gains momentum, the flickering light of a small radio on the side table catches their attention. They turn toward it as the news anchor's voice cuts through the chatter.
We interrupt this program to bring you breaking news. Reports confirm that power has been completely cut to the White House, and much of Washington D.C. authorities are currently investigating the situation, fearing it may be connected to the recent activities of the serial killer, Mr. Dugan.
The room falls silent and the gravity of the news sinks in.
Wait, what? Dugan has cut the power to the White House? That means he's in D.C. He's not even close to us. So he's not nearby at all? We were counting on him being close enough to draw him in with the art show. This isn't just about us anymore. If Dugan is in D.C., we need to rethink our entire plan. We need to regroup and figure out our next steps. If he's planning something big there, we can't risk attracting attention ourselves.
As the weight of their situation looms over them, they exchange worried glances, realizing the urgency of their predicament.
We need to alert the authorities. If he's in D.C., they need all hands on deck. Let's get out of here and find a safe place to strategize. We can't let fear paralyze us, but we also can't expose ourselves unnecessarily.
With a newfound sense of urgency, the group begins to gather their things. The previous excitement of the art show overshadowed by the chilling realization that Mr. Dugan is far away, and their plan may have just become obsolete. As Mr. Rence's van, night. The van, sleek and familiar, hums quietly as the group piles in. Mr. Rence takes the driver's seat, fingers poised over the controls.
Buckle up, this is going to be a wild ride.
As the van starts to accelerate, the interior lights flicker and the world outside begins to blur.
Let's hope we make it in time.
The van speeds off into the night, heading straight for the heart of the chaos, where they hope to uncover Mr. Dugan's sinister plans. Fade out, exed, Mr. Rence's van, night. The group piles into the van, laughter and nervous energy filling the air. Mr. Rence settles into the driver's seat while the others buckle their seatbelts, excitement mixed with apprehension.
So, where are we staying once we get to D.C.? We should find a hotel close to the White House. I can look up some options. There's the Willard Intercontinental. It's historic and right near the White House. That sounds perfect. We need to be close to the action so we can keep an eye on everything. I can get us there in no time. Just let me know when you've picked a place. How about the Hay Adams? It's upscale and right across from Lafayette Square. We can blend in with the tourists. Yeah, let's go with that one. If we're going to take down a serial killer, we might as well do it in style. Booking it now. Just a second. Okay, done. We're all set for the Hay Adams. All right, everyone ready? Hold on tight.
With a flick of a switch, the van roars to life and Mr. Rence slams the accelerator. The van lurches forward, zooming out of the driveway and onto the highway, the world outside blurring into streaks of light.
Let's hope we get there before Dugan makes his next move. With this ride, we'll be there in no time.
The van swerves playfully as Mr. Rence expertly navigates through traffic, laughter and adrenaline pulsing through the air. The group's spirits rise as they speed toward their destination, determined to uncover the mystery behind Mr. Dugan's plans.
Welcome to DC, folks. Now we need to get checked in and start planning.
This place is amazing. We'll blend right in. Let's hustle before Dugan makes his move.
We have a reservation under Callaway. Receptionist, welcome. Your suite is ready. Here are your keys. Enjoy your stay.
So, what's our plan? We need to figure out where Dugan might strike next.
We should start by checking any recent movements or activities near the White House. If he's planning something big, it's likely to be there.
And we should consider utilizing the hotel's resources. They might have intel or security that can help us. All right, team, let's brainstorm. Who wants to start?
We could make a list of all Dugan's known associates and any recent suspicious activities in the area.
And we should see if there are any public events happening nearby. He might try to blend in with a crowd.
Good ideas. We need to act fast. If he's planning something, we can't let him get away with it.
As they dive into their brainstorming session, the weight of their mission settles on their shoulders. They know that each moment counts, and they're determined to stop Mr. Dugan before it's too late.
You knew I'd come? You're more arrogant than they say.
The president, still seated, looks up, calm but alert.
You're going to give me control of this country, and the first thing I'll do is make murder legal. I'll start by showing the world what happens to presidents who don't fall in line.
The president leans back in his chair, folding his hands, still calm.
You talk like a man out of touch. This world needs fear. It needs a reckoning. And I'm the one who's going to bring it. I've already plunged the city into darkness. No one's stopping me now.
The president stands, meeting Dugan's intense gaze without flinching.
Enough. You're going to hand over control, or you'll die like the rest. This is your last chance.
The president, unshaken, moves out from behind the desk, his expression hardening.
Oh, you're all too late for that. I've already made myself at home.
The head of security's hand instinctively moves to his holster, but Dugan's cold voice stops him.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. Unless you want to see how quickly I can use this.
The president, still standing behind his desk, raises a hand to calm his staff.
Well, look at all of you. Brave little soldiers trying to protect your beloved president. But here's the thing. None of you are leaving this room unless I say so.
The head of security, still tense, tries to reason.
Reinforcements? The city's in darkness. By the time they figure out what's going on, you'll all be long gone. Or dead.
He takes a slow step forward, gesturing with the knife.
You see, what I want is simple. Total control. And to get it, I'm willing to spill as much blood as necessary, starting with whoever tries to stand in my way.
One of the staff members, visibly shaking, takes a small step backward. Dugan's sharp eyes catch the movement, and he points the knife at them.
Don't even think about it. You make a move, I make a mess.
The president steps forward, trying to defuse the situation.
Talk? We're past that, Mr. President. The only talking I'm interested in is you telling me you're handing over control of this country. Or I start showing your staff just how serious I am.
The tension in the room is suffocating as the staff exchange nervous glances, their lives now hanging in the balance.
So who's it going to be? Who gets to be the first demonstration of my new law?
The room remains deathly still, no one daring to move as Dugan eyes his next target. Mr. Dugan's knife hovers close to the president's chest, his grin widening as he watches the president's calm exterior crack ever so slightly.
Fine, you win.
Dugan's smile stretches into something darker. He lowers the knife and steps back, triumphant.
Smart choice, Mr. President. Now, let's show the world the new order.
Colton, Zach, Chris, Mr. Rence, and Mr. Callaway sit scattered around the hotel room, the mood tense. The power outage in D.C. has thrown everything into chaos, and they've been waiting for updates on the situation, growing more uneasy by the minute.
It's the White House. Something's happening.
The camera cuts to a podium set up in the White House press room, but instead of the president standing at the podium, it's Mr. Dugan.
What the hell is this?
Mr. Dugan steps up to the microphone. His voice echoes through the room, chilling and authoritative.
Ladies and gentlemen of the United States, I stand before you not as a man seeking power, but as a man seeking freedom. Freedom from the chains of a world obsessed with morality, obsessed with laws that keep the strong from rising.
No way.
For too long, this country has suffocated under the weight of laws that coddle the weak and punish those who seek to break free. Well, no longer. As of today, I declare a new law, a law of nature, where only the fittest survive.
The camera zooms in closer on Dugan's twisted smile.
Murder is now legal.
The room in the hotel falls silent as the announcement hits them.
He can't be serious.
On the screen, reporters in the press room murmur in shock, but none dare to move or challenge him. Dugan looks satisfied with the reaction, then leans into the microphone again.
From this moment on, any person in this country has the right to kill. And those who stand in the way of this new freedom, well, they'll be dealt with swiftly. Order will be restored through strength. Weakness will be purged.
Colton stands up abruptly, pacing as he tries to process what's happening.
This is insane. He's out of his mind.
The president. He must have forced him to give up. There's no way this could happen otherwise.
Mr. Rence, usually composed, clenches his fists tightly, his jaw set in anger.
This is what he wanted all along, complete chaos.
Mr. Dugan continues on the screen.
To those who wish to challenge this new order, I suggest you think twice. This is your one and only warning. I am in control now, and there is no going back.
The camera pans out to reveal more armed men standing at the exits of the press room, ensuring that no one leaves until Dugan is finished. His eyes gleam with satisfaction as he closes his speech.
Enjoy your newfound freedom, America. The purge begins now.
With that, Dugan steps back from the podium and the broadcast abruptly cuts to a stunned news anchor struggling to process what was just announced. In the hotel room, the group stares at the screen in shocked silence. The weight of the situation crashes down on them, the reality of what Dugan has done sinking in.
What do we do now? He's turned the entire country into a war zone.
We stop him. We don't let this happen.
But how? He's taken control of everything.
Mr. Callaway, who's been silent until now, stands up slowly, determination hardening in his expression.
We fight. Dugan's counting on people being too scared to push back, but we've got something he doesn't have, a plan.
Zach nods, though the fear is still clear in his eyes.
We need to move fast. If we wait too long, this will spiral out of control.
It's time. We've got to make our move.
Yeah, let's end this.
The group in the hotel room is still reeling from the shocking announcement. Colton, Zach, Chris, Mr. Rence, and Mr. Callaway sit back down, the reality of their situation sinking in as they try to process what they've just witnessed. The gravity of the moment presses down on them, but they know they have to act quickly.
We're not just walking into the White House now. Dugan's definitely hired a new team of guards, probably highly trained, and they're not just there to stand around. They'll be prepared for anything.
You're right, we can't just storm the front gate. He's not stupid. If he's making an announcement like that, he's fortified the place. We'll need to be smarter than him.
There's got to be a way in that he's not expecting. A hidden access route, tunnels, something.
But how do we even know where Dugan will be? He could be anywhere in the White House.
We find him by thinking like him. Dugan wants to be where the power is. He's most likely taken over the president's private quarters or the Situation Room, somewhere secure where he can watch the chaos unfold and make his moves.
We need to split our efforts, figure out how to get inside and pinpoint where Dugan is holed up.
I know someone who might have access to those blueprints. If we can get the layout of those tunnels, we'll have our way in.
How long will it take to get that information?
I'll make a call. Give me a few minutes.
He steps out of the room, phone in hand, leaving the rest of the group to brainstorm further. Colton turns back to Zach, eyes focused.
While he works on that, we need to figure out what Dugan's plan is. We know he's not just declaring murder legal for fun. He wants something bigger.
He's planning to consolidate power. By creating chaos, he knows people will start turning on each other. But he'll be the one to offer order at a price, control of everything.
But how do we get to him? Even if we find a way in through the tunnels, we need to know exactly where he is.
Dugan's the kind of guy who loves attention. He'll want people to know he's in control. He's probably set up some kind of command center. Somewhere he can broadcast his orders to the public.
Then that's where we need to go.
I've got it. A contact at the Capitol pulled the blueprints for the White House tunnels. There's an old maintenance tunnel that leads directly beneath the East Wing. It's been out of use for decades, so there's a good chance it won't be heavily guarded.
This could work. It's far enough from the main entrances that we should be able to slip in without setting off alarms.
And once we're in, how do we find Dugan?
We'll use that tunnel to get in, then split into two groups. One group searches the private quarters, the other heads to the Situation Room. Dugan will most likely be in one of those places.
We'll need to move fast and quietly, no mistakes.
This is it then. We find him, we take him down, and we stop this madness.
Let's do it.
The team quickly gathers their gear, preparing to head out. The plan is risky, but it's their best shot at stopping Dugan before he plunges the entire country into chaos. With the tunnels as their entry point and their eyes on the White House's most secure locations, they move out with determination, ready to face whatever waits for them inside.
Everyone ready?
As ready as we'll ever be.
Let's get this over with.
We don't have time to waste. Let's move.
Hold on.
We're almost there.
This speed, it's insane. How are we not crashing into everything?
Mr. Rence knows what he's doing. Just hang on.
We're here.
That was fast.
I'll never get used to that.
We don't have time to admire the speed. Let's go.
The tunnel entrance is just a few hundred feet away. We'll have to move quietly from here.
We stick to the plan. We take the tunnel, get inside, and find Dugan. No mistakes.
Let's get this done.
Stay low. The tunnel entrance is close. Just a little farther.
How much longer?
We're not going to have much time once we're inside. Those guards are on high alert.
This looks like it.
This is the one. It leads right under the east wing.
All right, this is it. We're going in. Once we're inside, we stay as quiet as possible. We split up when we get close to the Situation Room and the private quarters. Keep your radios close and remember the plan.
Got it.
This way. S5, let's go.
How much farther until we hit the access point?
Not much farther. There should be a service hatch up ahead that leads directly under the east wing.
That's it.
Looks like it's still functional. We should be able to open it without drawing attention.
All right, this is where we split up. Rence, you and Callaway head for the Situation Room. Chris, Zach, and I will check the private quarters.
We'll keep in touch. If you find Dugan, don't engage until we're all in position.
Understood, let's move. This is it. No turning back now.
Let's end this.
Colton, Zach, and Chris climb up into the narrow service corridor, emerging from the old tunnel into the heart of the White House. They move cautiously, staying low as they make their way toward the private quarters, the area where Dugan is most likely hiding. The walls of the corridor are dimly lit by emergency lighting, casting long shadows down the hallways. Colton motions for the others to stay quiet, his heart pounding in his chest. Every step they take is calculated and deliberate. They can hear faint voices down the hall, guards, most likely stationed to protect Dugan. "We're getting close," Colton whispers, pointing toward the large double doors ahead. "The president's private quarters are through there."
Zach swallows hard, gripping his weapon. Think Dugan's in there?
"If he's not, we'll at least find something that tells us where he is," Colton replies.
Chris moves to the side of the door, checking for any signs of security measures. The doors look reinforced, but there's no alarm panel.
"Good," Colton says quietly. "Let's do this quickly." They position themselves on either side of the door, weapons at the ready. Colton takes a deep breath and carefully pushes the door open just enough to see inside. The room beyond is dark, save for the soft glow of emergency lights. It's eerily quiet, no sign of Dugan or his guards. Colton motions for them to enter. "Move." The three of them slip inside, scanning the room for any clues. The president's private quarters are in disarray, papers strewn across the desk, and drawers left half open as if someone had been searching for something in a hurry.
Zach moves toward the desk, sifting through the papers. Looks like someone's already been here.
Chris heads for the adjoining room, glancing back at the others. No one's here now, but Dugan could have been here recently.
Colton's eyes narrow as he spots a tablet left on the bed. He picks it up and swipes the screen. The device lights up, displaying a series of security camera feeds, one of which shows a figure seated in a dark room surrounded by screens. "Dugan. I've got him," Colton mutters, showing the others the feed.
Zach leans in, eyes wide. That's the Situation Room. He's there.
Chris nods, looking relieved but focused. "We need to let Mr. Rence and Callaway know."
Colton pulls out his radio. "Rence, Callaway, Dugan's in the Situation Room. We're heading your way. Hold off until we're there."
Mr. Rence and Mr. Callaway make their way through the quiet corridors of the East Wing, moving quickly and silently toward the Situation Room. The tension between them is palpable. Both men know that the fate of the mission rests on what they find inside. Mr. Rence glances down at his phone, tracking their position on the White House blueprints. The Situation Room is just ahead. 2 guards are posted outside.
Callaway nods. We'll need to take them out quietly.
They round a corner and spot the 2 armed guards standing outside the reinforced doors. The guards seem alert but unaware of the approaching danger. Mr. Rence signals for Callaway to take one side while he moves to the other. In perfect synchronization, they move in on the guards. Mr. Rence uses a stun baton, swiftly incapacitating the first guard before he has a chance to react.
Callaway follows suit, knocking out the second guard with a quick strike. Both men fall to the ground without making a sound. Callaway drags the unconscious guards out of sight while Mr. Rence checks the door. Locked, but we've got a way in. He pulls out a small device and attaches it to the keypad next to the door. The light flickers for a moment before turning green and the door unlocks with a soft click. Mr. Rence taps his radio. We're outside the Situation Room. Going in now.
Just as they're about to enter, Colton's voice crackles through the radio. "Rence, Callaway, Dugan's in the Situation Room. We're heading your way. Hold off until we're there."
Mr. Rence stops, turning to Callaway. Dugan's inside. We wait for Colton and the others.
Callaway tightens his grip on his weapon. We can't afford to wait too long. If he suspects anything, he'll make a run for it.
Rence glances at the door, the pressure mounting. "Agreed, we give them 2 minutes. If they're not here by then, we go in."
Colton, Zach, and Chris quickly make their way through the labyrinth of hallways, moving as fast as they can without drawing attention.
They keep to the shadows, avoiding the patrols as they head toward the east wing.
We're almost there, Colton whispers as they approach the corridor leading to the Situation Room.
They can see the faint glow of emergency lights ahead, where Mr. Rence and Mr. Callaway are waiting just outside the door. Zach hurries to catch up, his heart pounding. This is it.
Chris pulls out his weapon, ready for whatever waits behind that door. We're going to finish this.
The 2 minutes pass and Mr. Rence glances down the hallway just as Colton, Zach, and Chris come into view.
They rush to the door, ready for the final showdown. Colton nods to Mr. Rence. We're ready.
Mr. Rence taps the door panel and it slides open with a quiet hiss.
The team moves in swiftly, weapons raised, prepared for the worst. Inside the Situation Room, Dugan is seated at the central console, surrounded by screens showing the chaos unfolding across the country. His back is to the group, but the moment the door opens, he turns slowly, an eerie smile spreading across his face.
Well, well, Dugan says, his voice dripping with satisfaction. Looks like the cavalry's finally here.
Colton steps forward, his weapon trained on Dugan. It's over, Dugan.
Dugan stands completely unfazed. Over? Oh, my dear friends, this is only the beginning.
Watch out! The atmosphere is charged with urgency as Zach, Colton, Chris, Mr. Rence, and Mr. Callaway confront Mr. Dugan, who is cornered at the long table full of maps and intel. Security cameras flicker on the screens, capturing the tension in the room. Zach pointing the gun at Dugan. This ends here, Dugan. You're not getting away this time. Mr. Dugan smirks, revealing a bulletproof vest beneath his tailored suit.
You think a little gun is going to stop me?
Before Zach can react, Dugan lunges forward, drawing a machete from under the table. The blade shines ominously under the dim lights. Watch out! The group springs into action, knowing they must work together to subdue him. Mr. Rence charges first, throwing a punch that connects with Dugan's jaw. But Dugan quickly recovers, swinging the machete dangerously close.
We can't let him use that weapon.
Dugan sidesteps, aiming for Mr. Callaway with a swift slash. Callaway ducks just in time, and the machete embeds itself into the wooden table with a thud.
Now everyone get him!
The group converges on Dugan, throwing punches and grappling with him, trying to avoid the blade. Zach, breathless. We need to disarm him.
Hold him down.
With a concerted effort, they manage to push Dugan against the wall, but he fights back fiercely, struggling against their grip.
He's strong, keep pushing.
Dugan twists, breaking free momentarily, but Chris lands a solid kick to Dugan's midsection, sending him stumbling back. Zach, frantic. Get the machete. Dugan, realizing he's outnumbered, attempts to reach for the machete again, but Mr. Rence swiftly kicks it out of his grasp, sending it clattering across the room.
You're done!
The group finally manages to restrain Dugan, their breaths heavy as they secure him to a chair. The tension in the room slowly dissipating.
You won't get away with this. We'll make sure of it.
As they catch their breath, the reality of their victory begins to set in, but they know the battle is far from over. The fate of the nation hangs in the balance. The tension in the room spikes as the group secures Mr. Dugan to the chair. But just as they think they have him contained, he suddenly twists, using an unexpected surge of strength to break free.
You think you can hold me?
Before anyone can react, Zach lunges forward, instincts kicking in. Zach shouting, not this time. He tackles Dugan, sending both of them crashing into a wall of glass screens. The impact is explosive. The screens shatter, spraying shards of glass everywhere. Watch out! The room erupts into chaos as the group instinctively shields themselves from the flying glass. Chris manages to grab Zach, pulling him away just in time as Dugan rolls off the ground, dazed but quick to recover.
You think you can stop me?
With a swift motion, Dugan darts toward a ladder leading up to the roof, the adrenaline fueling his escape.
He's getting away, after him.
The group scrambles to their feet, shaking off the shock of the shattered screens. Colton is the first to reach the ladder, climbing up with urgency.
We can't let him escape.
Zach follows closely behind, adrenaline coursing through him as he scrambles up the rungs, determined not to let Dugan slip away. They emerge onto the rooftop, the cool night air rushing around them. Dugan is already several feet ahead, sprinting toward the edge of the building. Zach, panting. Stop him. Dugan turns, a wild look in his eyes, and makes a desperate leap toward a neighboring rooftop. Colton is quick to follow, leaping after him.
Don't let him get to the other side.
Dugan lands hard, skidding to his feet and continuing his escape. The rest of the group rushes after them, Zach pulling ahead, fueled by the need to stop him.
We need to flank him.
The group splits up, trying to anticipate Dugan's movements, but he's agile and relentless, using the height and the rooftops to his advantage.
We can't let him get away.
As they chase Dugan across the rooftops, the stakes rise, and the mission to capture him intensifies. Each member of the group knows that failure is not an option. The fate of their mission, and perhaps the country, depends on stopping him. The rooftop is illuminated by the moonlight, creating a surreal backdrop for the intense confrontation. Dugan stands at the edge, breathing heavily, while Zach, Colton, Chris, and Mr. Callaway surround him, ready for a fight. Zach, fuming. You think you can just run away from us? We're not letting you off this roof.
You're really going to try and take me down? You're all just a bunch of kids playing hero.
Colton steps forward, fists clenched, frustration boiling over.
You're a monster, Dugan. You've hurt too many people. This ends now.
You think you can intimidate me? I've survived worse than you can throw at me.
Suddenly, tension rises as Mr. Rence steps forward, holding a canister of his explosive Mountain Dew, a concoction he has used to save the group before.
You think you can take us down? This time it's your turn to be careful.
Dugan's expression shifts from confidence to wariness as he eyes the canister.
You wouldn't dare use that on me. You're outnumbered.
You don't understand. This isn't just a drink, it's a weapon when I need it to be.
Just as Rence raises the canister, Dugan lunges forward, knocking Mr. Rence off balance. In the chaos, Dugan manages to grab the canister right out of Rence's hand, gripping it tightly.
Looks like I have the upper hand now.
The group gasps, and the atmosphere shifts dramatically. Dugan now holds the explosive Mountain Dew, ready to use it against them. Zach, urgently, don't do it, Dugan. You'll take us all down.
That's the point. You think I'm afraid to blow this whole place up?
Colton steps forward, hands raised in a placating gesture.
You don't have to do this. You can still walk away.
Dugan takes a step back toward the edge, the canister shaking slightly in his grip.
You're making a huge mistake.
The group collectively tightens their formation, trying to corner Dugan without making any sudden moves that might provoke him.
You think I care? I'll take you all with me.
Dugan shakes the canister, and the pressure builds inside. The group feels the intensity of the situation growing, knowing they need to act fast.
We can't let him use that.
With a sudden surge of adrenaline, Zach lunges toward Dugan again, hoping to wrestle the canister away. Zach, urgently, now. In the scuffle, Dugan tries to shove Zach away and the two tumble to the ground, the canister slipping from Dugan's grasp for a heartbeat. Colton and Chris dive in, wrestling with Dugan as they try to regain control.
Get it back!
In the chaos, the canister rolls dangerously close to the rooftop edge, teetering but still intact. With a final push, Zach manages to grab Dugan's arm and twist it, forcing him to drop the canister. Zach gritting his teeth. You're done, Dugan. They all pile on top of Dugan, pinning him down. Mr. Rence quickly scrambles to retrieve the canister, clutching it tightly as Dugan struggles beneath them.
I won't let you hurt anyone.
With Dugan subdued and the explosive canister secured, the group breathes a collective sigh of relief. Their determination is stronger than ever as they prepare to ensure Dugan's capture once and for all.
Fade out. The struggle intensifies as Dugan, pinned beneath Colton, Zach, and Chris, fights to break free. Just when it seems like they have him contained, Dugan summons a surge of adrenaline, pushing off the ground and throwing Colton aside with surprising strength.
You think you can hold me down?
With a swift motion, Dugan scrambles to his feet, eyes darting toward the edge of the rooftop, calculating his escape to the adjacent building.
Stop him!
As Dugan makes a run for it, Mr. Rence realizes the urgency of the situation. In a desperate move, he unscrews the cap of the explosive Mountain Dew, the pressure inside hissing ominously. Not so fast, Dugan! With a powerful throw, Mr. Rence launches the canister toward Dugan. Time seems to slow as the bottle flies through the air, glinting under the moonlight.
No.
The canister collides with Dugan, bursting open in a spectacular explosion of sticky liquid and fizz. The force of the blast sends Dugan staggering back, losing his balance as he teeters on the edge of the rooftop.
Get down.
The explosion creates a chaotic cloud of fizz and bubbles, blinding Dugan momentarily. He flails, trying to regain his footing, but it's too late. The explosion's force propels him off the roof and he disappears from view.
Did we just...
I didn't want it to come to that, but we had no choice.
The group stands there, stunned as the sounds of chaos fade away. The rooftop is now a mess of fizz and debris, but they are safe for the moment.
Is he gone?
I can't see him.
With tension still hanging in the air, they slowly gather around Mr. Rence, who holds the now empty canister.
We did what we had to do to protect ourselves.
As they begin to process what just happened, the reality of their actions settles in. The threat of Dugan has been neutralized, but at what cost? They all nod in agreement, still shaken but relieved. Together they move carefully toward the rooftop exit, leaving behind the remnants of the fight, the explosive Mountain Dew, and the darkness that Dugan brought into their lives. Fade out. White House, night. Mr. Dugan is falling, plummeting through the cold night air, the wind whipping violently around him as the White House roof fades above. His body tumbles downward, but even in the chaos of the fall, there's no fear in his eyes, just rage. His mind races, the world spinning as he falls, but his thoughts are sharp.
Gritting his teeth. This isn't the end. You think you've won. I'm not done.
His voice, barely audible against the rushing wind, is laced with fury. His hands flail, but he knows there's no stopping his descent now. The ground below grows closer, the darkened lawn of the White House awaiting him like a final judgment.
Snapping. I've built too much. I've sown the seeds. The chaos is out there. You can't control it.
The ground is coming fast. He clenches his fists, his mind still defiant, even as he faces the inevitable impact.
You'll never stop me. They'll finish what I've started. This world is mine to mold.
Thud!
Dugan hits the ground hard, but just before impact his fall is broken by a sudden rough grasp. A group of military officers is gathered below, anticipating his fall. They catch him roughly, his body slamming into their hands in the ground, leaving him dazed but alive. Dugan groans, his body aching, but the fire in his eyes remains. As he lies on the grass, unable to rise immediately, he looks up at the officers surrounding him, guns drawn, faces hardened.
Stepping forward. Mr. Dugan, you're coming with us.
Dugan grits his teeth, a bitter laugh escaping his lips as two of the officers roughly pull him to his feet, cuffing his hands behind his back.
Breathless but smirking. You think this is over? Lock me away, throw me in a hole, it won't matter. What I've started, it's out there now. You can't undo the fear I've planted.
The officers remain silent as they tighten the cuffs and prepare to haul him away. Despite the pain in his now broken body, Dugan's gaze remains sharp, filled with menace.
Hissing, you'll see. The world will burn, and when it does, remember, I lit the match.
The officers begin to drag him toward the awaiting military vehicle, their expressions unchanged by his threats. But Dugan's words hang in the air, heavy with the promise of future chaos, even as he's led away. The battle might be over, but the war Dugan began still simmers in the shadows. The group re-enters the White House, their clothes and faces smeared with dirt and sweat from the intense battle on the roof. The eerie quiet of the building surrounds them, broken only by the distant hum of emergency lights still flickering in the corridors. Colton leads the group, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths as they make their way through the halls. Behind him, Zach, Chris, Mr. Rence, and Mr. Callaway walk with a mix of exhaustion and relief. They'd finally knocked Dugan off the roof, his reign of terror seemingly ended.
Let's find the president. He needs to know Dugan's finished.
Zach nods, wiping sweat from his brow.
We're not taking any chances. We need to be sure he's safe.
They move quickly, navigating through the hallways that are now strangely empty. The guards that had once patrolled every corner are nowhere to be seen, likely reassigned or scattered in the chaos.
It's too quiet.
Chris nods in agreement.
Oh, I don't like it either. Let's hope Dugan didn't have any more surprises waiting for us.
They turn a corner, approaching the area near the Oval Office. As they draw closer, the door opens slightly, revealing a few White House staff nervously peeking out. The moment the group is spotted, the door swings open fully, and the staff rush out, visibly relieved. A staff member steps forward, concern etched on their face.
Are you all okay? Is it over?
It's over. Dugan's gone.
The staff exchange glances, their faces filled with a mix of relief and disbelief.
Thank God. The president's in his private quarters. He hasn't left since the power went out.
We need to make sure he's all right.
Without wasting another moment, they move toward the president's private quarters. The group enters the president's private quarters, finding him pacing anxiously.
You've done it? Dugan, he's really gone?
He won't be coming back, sir.
The president exhales, his shoulders relaxing as he takes in the news.
I can't thank you enough. I didn't know if anyone could stop him.
Colton steps forward, his expression softening slightly.
It wasn't easy, but it's over. The White House is secure again.
You've saved more lives than you know. I'll see to it that the nation understands the role you played in this.
Zach steps forward.
Right now, we need to make sure the country is stabilized. Dugan caused a lot of chaos with that announcement. We need to reverse it fast.
The president straightens, a newfound determination in his eyes.
Agreed. We'll need to address the nation immediately.
Let us clear the remaining areas. We'll make sure everything's truly secure before you make any moves.
Please, and be careful. I'm not sure how deep Dugan's influence ran.
The group nods and quickly leaves the president's quarters, heading toward the remaining sections of the White House to ensure no other threats are lurking in the shadows. The tension begins to ease, but the group knows their job isn't fully done yet.